To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.
So, my dear children, in the earlier chapter, we have discussed about the natural disasters, and we discussed about the several things regarding to natural disasters, and we studied about several examples of natural disasters. And finally, we finished up with the part on what are the things or what are the natural disasters that going to occur, that's going to affect on Sri Lanka. So, we discussed about the 4 main natural disasters that affects the Sri Lanka as droughts, landslides, floods and lightning. So, within this chapter, we'll be studying about the drought. Okay, we'll be studying about the drought. Within this chapter, mainly we are focusing about the drought. Right, my dear children. So, I told you that drought is a condition that occurs mainly because of dry weather. So, because of the dry weather conditions or because of dry climatic changes or dry climate, what will happen? The water sources, right? Water sources will going to run off, and upon having less amount of water, people will not be able to do their day-to-day activities by using water. And also, agricultural lands will not provide enough harvest, and not only that, different other animals also suffer because of lack of water, right? So, this kind of a hazardous condition can be considered as a drought, right? So, within this chapter, my dear children, we'll be mainly discussing what are the reasons for the occurrence of droughts. Are there any human activities that will lead to a drought? What are the natural reasons for a occurrence of a drought? How we can manage the bad effects given out by the drought? And what are the ways that we can follow up in mitigating bad effects of drought? So, we'll be discussing about these things within this chapter. So, as you can see, it is given that long-term decrease of rainfall due to the change of the pattern of rainfall is known as drought. So, like I said, my dear children, this drought condition mainly occurs because of lack of water. In a certain area, if the water is somewhat less, okay, somewhat less than the normal conditions or normal days. In normal usual days, there is certain amount of water that they can take, no. So, during drought season, my dear children, what will happen? This normal water conditions or normal water level will going to drop down. So, people will not be able to receive water as they are going to take usually. So, in that case, what will happen? People will not be able to do their day-to-day activities by using this water. So, this thing mainly happens because of what? Because of decrease of rainfall. This thing mainly occurs because of decrease in rainfall. Due to what? Due to changing the pattern of rainfall. So, due to change in pattern of rainfall, right, and due to decreasement of the rainfall, by changing the pattern of rainfall, the condition that going to occur or the condition which is going to occur can be referred as a drought. It can be referred as a drought. So, here the way of definition and the nature of identification may change from country to country, region to region, and from time to time. Sometimes, my dear children, this definition is not that much quite, like when you take the definition of lack of rainfall, this thing is not that much particular, that cannot be particular to a certain region. It can change. This definition also can change from time to time from particular region to a region. Usually what you mean by drought is this incident which is the lack of rainfall, and due to lack of rainfall what will happen? Lack of water, right? So this is the usual definition for a drought, but however when you take a certain area and a certain region, this can change. Okay, right. Then you are given with a topic, reasons for a drought. Reasons for a drought. So I'll write down several common reasons for a drought, my dear children. I'll write like 3. So the main reason behind a drought is, I told you, my dear children, lack of water. Lack of water. What is the reason for lack of water? It is given here. What is that? Decrease of what? Decrease of rainfall. So decrease of rainfall is a main reason for the cause of droughts. Droughts are mainly causing because of decreasing rainfall, and because of that, due to lack of water, droughts will occur. And sometimes due to dry air currents or dry wind. Sometimes due to dry wind, my dear children, what will happen? The water or the soil water or groundwater will evaporate very quickly due to dry air currents or due to dry wind. So upon evaporating water, what will happen? Soil water or the groundwater will be reduced. So upon the reduction of groundwater or soil water, drought will occur. Okay. So occurrence of dry winds is also can be taken as a reason for the occurrence of droughts. Then if you take human activities, now all of those two reasons were regarding our atmospheric conditions and, my dear children, weather and climatic conditions, right? Those dry air currents are coming because of changing atmospheric conditions, and also because of changing weather conditions and climatic changes, these rainfall, the amount of rainfall is also going to decrease. So those things are natural reasons. So are there any human activities behind these droughts? Of course there is. Now sometimes people will, like when you take most of the people, right, the people will they don't have awareness in protecting water. Sometimes they will waste water in huge extent. So this condition may lead to a drought condition sometimes. Okay, so wastage of water is also a reason for a drought. Then if you take irregular constructions, sometimes there are water sources like tanks and other streams. Sometimes what will happen, people come and they will fill up these things by using soil or any other substance, and they will create several constructions. So in that case what will happen, these essential streams and springs will dry out, and because of that, my dear children, droughts can occur. So irregular constructions, land filling can lead to a drought. Okay. Then for the main reason, the main human activity of creating a drought is deforestation, right? Cutting down trees, right? Cutting down trees or deforestation. So upon deforestation, you know that trees are pretty much important sources of water, right? They are creating a cold or colder environment, right? A cool environment. So by that way, springs are getting protected. Groundwater is getting protected by the trees. So upon cutting down of trees, what will happen? These heavy dry winds and also solar energy will directly come in contact with the grounds and also with the springs. So this will lead to dry outing of groundwater and also those springs. So my dear children, what will happen? Droughts will occur. If you take the global warming process, so you know that global warming is a terrible condition that we are facing in nowadays. In present, not only Sri Lanka but the whole world is facing this global warming issue. So it's a global issue, not only for Sri Lanka but for all the other countries. This will affect. So upon global warming, what will happen? Definitely the wind pattern is going to change, right? Upon global warming, the rain which we receive is going to change. Climatic changes are mainly occurring in these days because of this global warming. So what do you mean by global warming? Global warming means, my dear children, increase of global temperature. Usually we are having or we are experiencing around 27 to 30 degrees of Celsius now, usually. But however, from year to year, that average temperature is going to rise. Actually, as I am going to speak right now, average temperature in our world is going to increase from degrees to degrees. Not in a greater extent, but however, when you take several years, my dear children, the temperature has been rose up like 1 to 2 degrees. So when when you take like 5 years in the future, the temperature is going to increase dramatically. So this will lead to several climatic changes, and these climatic changes are result in droughts and other severe conditions of natural disasters as well. Okay. So these are several reasons that can lead to a drought, my dear children. Okay. So we'll be studying about several other human activities and also several other natural activities which are causing droughts. But now when we are discussing this thing, I have given you several simple examples for the reasons for the droughts. So we'll write down what are the simple reasons for a drought. So the first and foremost reason is, these are simple ones, not that much complex ones, very simple reasons for a drought. So first and foremost, you can write, my dear children, lack of rainfall, right? Lack of rainfall. Because of lack of rainfall, what will happen? Droughts can occur, right? Upon lacking rainfall, these water sources will not receive enough water. So in that way, my dear children, what will happen? Droughts can occur, right? Then dry winds. So I told you that dry winds is also a reason, right? Dry winds is also a reason for droughts. Then number 3, global warming, a human activity, right? Global warming. Then we can write a very simple human activity like this: wastage of water. Or waste in water. Right, wasting water. Then irregular constructions. Irregular constructions, we'll put a comma, land filling. Right? Land filling. So I have mentioned 5 now. So I'll erase this thing, land filling thing. So there are, in here you can observe now there are 5 reasons. So lack of rainfall and dry winds. You know that these 2 reasons are natural reasons, my dear children. These reasons are natural reasons. Because you know that we can't control rainfall. We can't influence with the rainfall, right? And we can't influence with the wind pattern. So these things are natural reasons. These 2 reasons are natural reasons, right? These things are happening mainly because of change in climatic patterns or weather changes, right? So upon change in climatic patterns and upon change in weather patterns, these 2 incidents will occur. So we won't be able to control these things, right? So therefore these things are natural causes. However, there are indirect links between these as well. Okay, when you take global warming, it will create dry winds. So there is a link, but those links are not that much direct. So that's why we can consider these things are natural reasons. So these things are natural reasons. Natural. However, these ones, as you can see, these ones are like global warming, wasting water and irregular constructions like land filling. These ones are, my dear children, human activities. So by looking at this thing, you can see that natural reasons and as well as human activities and as well as natural reasons, both of these reasons will cause droughts. Both of these things are going to be reasons for droughts. Not only the human activities, my dear children, but also these naturally, there are some natural reasons as well. Okay, so natural reasons and human activities are the main causative agents of a drought, right? So natural reasons like lack of rainfall and dry winds, and also human activities like global warming, waste in water and irregular constructions will lead to a drought. Okay, these will lead to a drought. So we'll be discussing about these things one by one each. So now, by looking at these examples, my dear children, I hope that you got a good knowledge about the main reasons behind a drought. So the main reasons behind a drought is natural reasons and human activities. So let's head on to see what are the other contents given. So you are given with an assignment here. Find the data of rainfall in Sri Lanka for past few years. Comparing those values, study the rainfall pattern. Data can be collected from meteorological department or from internet. Ask the assistance of your teacher for this. Now, you are given with an assignment. Actually, you can use the internet for this thing to get the rainfall, annual rainfall in Sri Lanka. So when you take the annual rainfall, you will be getting rainfall for a particular month. For a particular month, how much is the rainfall in millimeters? Right? How much is the rainfall in millimeters for a particular month? So by that way you can take the whole year, right? You can take the whole rainfall in whole year. Then you can tabulate these things, or else you can make a graph out of the information given. So let's, for an example, let's imagine like the year 2020 or year 2019. These are the values. So in year 2019, or for the year 2019, for the annual rainfall, you can draw a graph like this. So this is month. Then this is rainfall. In millimeters or sometimes in milliliters, whatever, right? You just check the internet, how most of the times they will be, most of the times these values will be given in millimeters, right? You know that most of the times these values are given in millimeters. Okay, so here you can divide into 12 January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Then we have take another two. So I'll erase this part as we have to take another two. Like this. You know that when you are drawing a graph, you have to take equal values, right? So these gaps should be equal to each other. So we'll mark the months: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Like that way you can take the months. Then rainfall. So you can take a graph paper if you want, right? So that you can represent these values very well. So in January, like 50 millimeters, 50. Okay. Then in February, around 30. Okay. Then in March, like 60. Then in April, like 90. Okay. So finally what you have to do? You join these lines and get a certain graph. By looking at the graph, you can get a certain idea. By looking at the graph, my dear children, you can get a certain idea on which month we have the highest rainfall. Which of the month that we have the highest amount of rainfall. So like that way you can collect these data. Actually, you can take these things from the internet. There's no trouble in it. Okay, you'll be provided with the certain year and the certain amount of rainfall within millimeter by using millimeters or in millimeters. So these things are hypothetical values, my dear children. These things are not actual values. For just to show you an example, I have took these values. Okay, just to show you an example, that's it. Okay, so by that way you can prepare a certain graph. Then you can compare these values for each of the month. You draw out the graph and check what is the pattern of it. So by that way you can conclude in which month do we receive the least amount of rainfall. So by that way you can see, or you can forecast whether there is going to be a drought in the next year or not. Like that way you can forecast this data. By using the graphs, you can forecast. That's the importance of collecting these rainfall information. Okay. So I hope that you follow up with this activity and you will do it at your home. So by that way, you can prepare for the things which are coming in your future. Right. Okay then. So I hope that you will do the activity in order to check the rainfall patterns. You can draw a graph like this when you are processing this data. Okay. Right then. So remember, these things are not actual values. Okay. Don't take these values, my dear children. These are not actual values. Just to show you an example, I have prepared this graph. Okay. Right then. So now we are going to discuss reasons for drought. So I told you that, my dear children, there are two main reasons for the occurrence of drought. Those two reasons are natural reasons and as well as what? Human activities. So both of these things will affect or will create droughts. So as you can see, it is given that natural reasons as well as human activities may affect this. There are natural reasons and also human activities that is going to affect the drought. Then natural reasons for a drought. Now you are given with the natural reasons for a drought. So let's see what are the natural reasons for a drought. Number one given, lack of timely monsoon winds. Now monsoon winds are the main reasons for the occurrence of rain. So you know that Sri Lanka receives rain according to two monsoons, right? According to two monsoons, we receive rain for wet area, right? There is a certain monsoon, and for the dry area, there is a certain monsoon. So Sri Lanka usually receive rainfall according to monsoonal winds. So if these monsoonal winds are not well timed, then my dear children, droughts will occur. Then droughts will occur for sure. For certain example, let's imagine that month May and February. Month May and month February. In month May, my dear children, usually, right, our Colombo area, we receive plenty of rainfall during month May. Okay, May, June, July, during this time period, we receive plenty of rainfall. But what will happen if this thing is going to pass 2 or 3 months? Means that within month May, we won't be receiving any rainfall. Okay, within month May, we won't be receiving any rainfall. Then June, July also there is no rain. Then the time or the monsoonal winds have been changed here. The pattern have been changed here. So in that case, what will happen? During the month May onwards, we are expecting rain. But however, the rain is not there upon change in the monsoonal winds. So in that case, starting from month May onwards, right? Starting from month May onwards, what will happen? We might have a drought season. We might have a drought season starting from month May onwards, because we know that when you take the earlier months, right, like in February, we won't be receiving, or Colombo area do not receive that much of rainfall during February month, right? So in that case, what will happen? We might face a drought season if we don't receive enough rainfall in months May, June, July. This thing is happening mainly because of change in the monsoonal wind patterns. So if you take the month February, areas like Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa, those areas will receive plenty of rainfall during the month February. Okay, so if you take the time period February, then if there is no enough rainfall during that time period, what will happen? The tanks and all the other streams and all the other water sources will definitely going to like wear off, right? And these when draining these water sources, upon draining these water sources, what will happen? It will give out a huge impact for the agricultural lands and as well as for the people who are living in those areas. If you take Colombo, now Colombo is like it related to the wet area, so we receive most of the times we receive plenty of rainfall. But however, if you take Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa area, those areas are in dry zone, so there is a higher risk if they don't receive enough rainfall during the February time period. Then my dear children, they will definitely face a huge drought, because only for that particular time period they will receive this rainfall. So there is a risk in having rainfall, there is a risk in having a drought after the February month, okay, for the dry zone. So these things are, if these patterns are going to change, then there is a risk of having drought. So these monsoonal patterns are pretty much important, right? These things are very important for us, for the survival of the organisms, and as well as for mainly for humans. Human beings are adapted for that particular time to get water from that particular monsoonal winds. So if these things are going to differ from one year to another, then we won't be able to do our day-to-day works. So that will lead to a drought season, my dear children. Okay. Then here, lack of timely monsoon winds is also a reason for drought. So this is a natural reason. We won't be able to control this thing, right? Then here it is given once again dry air currents. So I explained you about the dry air currents. So we'll be discussing further things regarding the dry air currents when we are going for the discussion of that part. Okay. Then the phenomenon of El Nino. So El Nino phenomenon, a new reason, a fresh new reason for a drought. So we'll be discussing about the El Nino phenomenon in detail when we are discussing further things related to the lesson, my dear children. Okay, so I'm not going to give you any kind of a definition in this within this part, but we'll be discussing these things when you go further with the lesson. Okay, so these are the three main natural reasons for a drought: lack of timely monsoon winds, dry air currents, and the phenomenon or the El Nino effect. So these are the three main reasons, three main natural reasons behind droughts. Okay, now let's take one by one each and we'll discuss how these things will lead to a drought. Okay, then here, as Sri Lanka is an island, wind pattern basically affects the rainfall. So like I said, my dear children, I told you that rainfall is mainly affected by wind, especially monsoonal wind. Okay, so study the table given to study the rainfall in Sri Lanka. So southwest monsoon, from May to September, we receive plenty of rain during May to September. So we are living in wet zone, right? So I'm from Colombo, so therefore I am in the wet zone. So I receive plenty of rainfall during May to September. So that's why I told you that in month May we receive plenty of rainfall. During each month of each year, during each month May in each year, I receive or my area receive plenty of rainfall. Okay. If this pattern is going to change, my dear children, then that will lead to a drought. Then in the next thing here, northeast monsoon. If you take the northeast monsoon, it's starting from November to February month. So during February month, dry zone like the Anuradhapura and Polonnaru area, they will receive plenty of rainfall, right? So during the February month, they will receive plenty of rainfall. So if there is no rainfall during this particular time period, then my dear children, dry zone will face the drought. Okay. Then after that, there is another method of rainfall which is referred as the convectional rains or intermonsoonal rains. Convectional rains or intermonsoonal rain. So normally from March to April and September-October time period, we receive plenty of rainfall for all the regions in the country, right? When you take April month, even the lightning strikes are also going to occur in April month, right? With the rain, there is lightning also during the April month. So it's mainly because of these intermonsoonal rains or convectional rains. So these are the main methods of obtaining rain in Sri Lanka for different areas. Okay, so we mainly receive rainfall by these three methods. For wet zone, we receive rainfall during the month of May to September by the southwest monsoon. Then from November to February, for the dry zone, by northeast monsoon, they receive rain. After that, for all the regions during the month of March to April and also during the month of September to October, right? For all the regions in our Sri Lanka will receive rainfall. So this rainfall or this method of rainfall is referred as the convectional rain or intermonsoonal rain. So upon changing these patterns, upon changing these months, my dear children, droughts will occur. Okay, upon changing these things, droughts will occur. So this is the first and foremost reason for the occurrence of drought. So this is a natural reason because there is no possibility to control the rainfall. Okay, right. So next one given, next reason, what is that? The dry air currents. Dry air currents. So this is the second reason for the occurrence of, right? Second natural reason for the occurrence of a drought. So here you are given dry air currents increase the rate of transpiration in plants. So the main reason of dry air current or the main effect of dry air current is the increasement of transpiration in plants. Increasement of transpiration in plants. So you know that transpiration is a process where plant is going to release water vapor, right? It is the process where plant leaves is going to release water vapor which are being absorbed from the soil. So if the temperature is going to increase, if the condition is somewhat dry, then this rate of transpiration is also going to increase. Okay, this rate of transpiration is also going to increase with the temperature. Upon increasing the temperature, the rate of transpiration increases. If the environment is dry, then the rate of transpiration is going to increase. Okay. So what will happen here? Due to having dry winds or dry air currents, the rate of transpiration in plants, that particular thing is going to increase. in that case, what will happen? The groundwater level will be affected heavily. Okay, you know that the groundwater or the surface water, so plants are going to absorb these water, no? So upon the transpiration, or when increasing the transpiration, this absorption process is also going to increase. So that will lead to decrease in groundwater level, okay, and also the surface water. So due to lack of water, my dear children, you know that droughts are going to occur. So here it is given, it increases the absorption of groundwater by the roots of plants. So it will increase the absorption of groundwater by the roots. So in that case, what will happen? Fountains dry up due to the reduction of groundwater. So due to reduction of groundwater, these fountains, water sources, will definitely dry up. So that will create what? This condition will cause a drought. Definitely this condition, then it's going to cause a drought. So drought, in the sense, it is saying that the lack of water, right? So lack of water is creating a drought. If the water is getting transpirated more and more to the environment or to the atmosphere, then it will lead to a lack of water condition, which is creating a drought, my dear children. So these dry winds or dry air currents in our atmosphere will increase the transpiration in plants. So upon increasing the transpiration in plants, the groundwater will be reduced, as the plants are absorbing more and more water from the roots. So that will lead to a drought condition. Okay, so this is what will this is the thing that will happen when increasing the when increasing the dryness in our wind. Okay, then the final natural reason for a drought. So this is referred as the El Nino phenomenon or the El Nino effect. So El Nino is a phenomenon, right, caused by the increase of temperature of the surface water in Pacific Ocean. So here it is a special effect, a special phenomenon which is going to increase this temperature of water surface, the topmost water surface, increasement of temperature in this topmost water surface, right? But in where? In the Pacific Ocean, my dear children. So what's the link between the increasement of temperature in Pacific Ocean with us? There is a link. So when you take Earth as a whole, there is a pattern of moving air currents throughout the world. So when a certain country receives a hot climatic weather condition, right? When a certain country receives summer conditions, the other countries, the opposite countries, they will receive the opposite condition. Okay, then if a certain country is facing summer, or if a certain country is observing summer, or if they are experiencing summer, then the opposite countries are experiencing definitely a winter season. So that's how these temperature fluctuations are going to occur within our world. Okay, it's mainly happening because of these winds. Winds are going to carry temperature all around our globe. So this wind pattern is getting highly affected by the temperature, by the surface temperature of the earth. So when changing the temperature of the surface, my dear children, no matter whether it is a land area or a sea area, so upon changing the temperature of the surface, what will happen? This pattern of wind is going to affect. These wind patterns are going to affect. So El Nino phenomenon right? El Nino phenomenon is a special phenomenon or special effect that is going to occur within the surface temperature of the Pacific Ocean, right? So here the temperature of the water in Pacific Ocean is going to increase, the surface temperature. So this will create irregular wind patterns and rainfall. That is how it is going to affect Sri Lanka, the El Nino effect. The temperature in our water or temperature in oceans is giving out a very impactful reason for the occurrence of wind patterns. So upon change in this temperature, my dear children, what will happen? The wind patterns will also get affected. So upon change in the wind patterns, I told you that rainfall is going to be changed, and when change in the rainfall, definitely sometimes droughts can occur. Okay, so here it is given El Nino phenomenon is caused by the increase of temperature of the surface water in Pacific Ocean. With the increase of temperature of surface water in the ocean, normal circulation pattern of global air currents and oceanic water currents or the streams change. So like I said, what will happen? It will affect the air currents. So it will affect the flow of temperature. So due to effect in air currents, due to effect in flow of temperature, what will happen? Drought seasons will occur because of lack of rainfall. Okay. Then sometimes sometimes, my dear children, there is another case. We'll assume that a certain area is not receiving that much amount of rainfall because of this El Nino effect. Then what will happen to the countries which are opposite to it? Those countries will experience more and more rainfall, because if there is a dry wind area or dry wind currents in a particular area, then opposite to that area we can observe wet wind currents. Wet wind current means heavy rainfall. So this El Nino effect is giving, like drought seasons as well as floods. Okay, for the opposite countries, they will experience definitely a flood. Main reason for the change or for the occurrence of El Nino effect is the change in global temperature, my dear children. Right? So global warming is paying a huge impact, or it is giving a huge impact for the El Nino effect. Okay. So there is no other possible way to change the temperature. However, it is naturally occurring, but there is a human hand as well. So here it is given, the influence of the El Nino phenomenon may cause droughts as well as rain in Sri Lanka. So like I said, my dear children, it will also cause a drought, and also there can be rain as well, heavy rains. This El Nino effect will give us rain and as well as what? Drought. Okay. So this is the one which is referred as the El Nino effect. So it is a phenomenon, special kind of a phenomenon, special kind of a incident. Here, the temperature of the surface water in Pacific Ocean is going to increase, right? So during this increasement, what will happen? The air currents, okay, the air currents will not, or they will not show a regular circulation. So because of not having this regular circulation, right, the wind patterns are going to change and it will cause a drought or else rain. Okay, so this will lead to flood and as well as what? droughts. Okay. Then as you can see here, the El Nino phenomenon here, you can observe the wind patterns, right? This is how the circulation occurs. So this is the Pacific Ocean, my dear children, from Australia to Southern America. This region, it covers the Pacific Ocean. So the circulation is shown here. So this red color area shows a high temperature zone. So when there is a high temperature, what will happen? This colder water will travel up to those places. The streams and air currents, wind currents will travel to those places, right? Then the opposite case, when the red color region is somewhat near to Southern America like this, so at that place the temperature is somewhat high, that is why it is mentioned in red color. So in that case, what will happen? The water and the air currents will travel to this area starting from Australia. So this is how the circulation works. So this circulation is going to change upon change in the temperature. Okay. Temperature is the main reason for the circulation. So upon change in the temperature, the circulation change. So upon change in the circulation, what will happen? It will lead to a drought and also it will create heavy rain. So this phenomenon is referred as the El Nino effect, the change in the temperature in the surface water of Pacific Ocean. Okay, right. So this is the El Nino effect. So we have discussed the factors or the natural factors, natural reasons for the occurrence of droughts then. Right, so this is the El Nino effect, my dear children. Now let's head on to see what are the other reasons of creating a drought. So other than these main reasons, my dear children, there can be these reasons which creates a drought. So what are these reasons? Number one, drying up of water sources. So sometimes there are water sources like tanks and streams and ponds. So upon having dry winds, dry air currents, or due to lack of water, due to lack of rainfall, sometimes, my dear children, these water sources like tanks and other streams, sometimes these will dry up. So upon drying up of these water sources, droughts will occur, because you know that if you take a certain area, sometimes these areas are highly dependent with the water, or by using the water given out by the tanks or streams. So if the tank or the stream is going to dry up, then it will create a drought in that particular area or region. So drying up of water sources will also create droughts. Okay. So actually these are also going to occur mainly because of the other reasons that we have discussed earlier. Okay. So those reasons are also going to impact in creating these things. So the second one given, decrease of water retention capacity in the soil. So what do you mean by that? Retention of water means, now you know that our soil, in our earth, the soil contains some amount of water, right? If you take a sample of soil from any place in the earth and you are going to heat it, so upon heating, you know that some droplets of water is going to release. It's mainly because our soil contains some amount of water. Okay. So upon removal of this water level, right, if this water level is not retained with the soil, that would create a drought, because drought is mainly creating because of lack of water. So if the soil is going to reduce, or if the soil is not going to retain that much of water, then definitely that will create a drought. Okay. And also, my dear children, the global warming is also a main effect of drought. So in earlier I have explained you about the global warming, right? It is a main human activity. So we'll be discussing about the global warming after this one also. When we are discussing about the human activities, we'll be discussing it mainly, right? So these reasons are also going to cause droughts as well. Okay, some other reasons for the drought. Then, my dear children, we'll be heading to observe, right, human activities, or to study about human activities that will lead to a drought. So as you can see here, there are several activities of several human activities and plenty of human activities. So we'll be learning one by one each. So let's see what are the human activities that is going to cause a drought. So first point, it is given, seepage of rainwater into soil decreases due to various constructions. This decreases the water retention capacity in the soil. Water sources dry out because of deforestation for construction works. So here you can observe several reasons. So when you take our soil, I told you that there should be certain level of water which should be retained within the soil. So if there is no that much of water retained with the soil, there are several bad things or bad effects which are going to occur. One thing is, my dear children, it decreases the water retention capacity in the soil. So therefore what will happen? Water sources will dry out. Because of that, water sources will dry out, like springs, right? And also canals, streams, these will dry out. Because if there is no water which is getting retained with the soil, definitely streams, canals and tanks also may dry out. Okay, so seepage of rainwater into soil decreases due to various constructions. So I told you that this is going to dry out if there is no enough water within the soil. So how does the human is going to involve in this process? It is by doing what? Constructions. By doing constructions. So due to various constructions, actually these things are irregular constructions. Let's see an example like this. So there is a muddy area. Okay, let's imagine that there is a muddy area, right? A swamp. So a particular person is now going to fill that swamp, close the entire swamp by using soil, and he is going to create a new construction over the swamp. So swamp is a place that has plenty of water. I mean, like, the water retention level at a swamp is very high. Lots of water is retaining within the soil over there. But when a person is going to fill up that area by using soil or by using different kind of a soil for their constructions, what will happen? The water retention level is going to reduce. In that case, what will happen, my dear children? The springs near the area will going to dry out, and upon drying out those springs, tanks and other water sources are also going to dry up. So these irregular constructions will lead to a drought. Definitely that will lead to a drought. So my dear children, here these various constructions. So like I said, when you take a swamp, right? If a certain person is going to fill that swamp to do a construction, then a swamp is a place that contains large amount of water. So the water retention level in a swamp is very high. So around a swamp, we can observe several springs. So if a certain person is going to fill that area, then the springs around that area also going to dry up, right? So water retention level is going to reduce. So these irregular constructions will also going to cause the dry up of what? Streams and other water retention places, water retaining places. So these irregular constructions, my dear children, definitely going to lead or it will affect the conditions, dry conditions. It will definitely affect the water level in our earth or around that particular area, and that particular area will definitely experience a drought nearby in the future, right? Because of drying out water sources. Okay, so these irregular constructions are human activities that could lead to a drought. Then here given the second one, decrease of water retention capacity in soil and accelerated soil erosion are the results of irregular cultivation of crops. Thus, water capacity of reservoirs decrease, resulting spillage. So the second one given, irregular cultivation of crops. Irregular cultivation of crops. So when you take the irregular cultivation of crops, especially when you take the Shena cultivation, most of the people do Shena cultivation by doing deforestation, right? By doing deforestation means they cut down trees and they're burning up that trees in a particular place to create a Shena. So cultivation is a good thing, agriculture is a good thing, but however, it should be a regular or else well controlled one. If the construction, if the agriculture is also irregular, then my dear children, that will create a drought because of reduction in water level, because of reduction in surface water level. Because you know that I have explained that upon deforestation, what will happen? The normal water or the water level within the soil is going to decrease. So in that case, what will happen? The water retention level within the soil is also going to decrease, and because of that a drought can happen, right? Because of that drought can happen. So due to irregular cultivation of crops, right, due to irregular cultivation of crops, the soil is going to damage mainly by soil erosion and by what? By the reduction in water retention capacity. Okay, so this will create or this will result the reduction of water capacity in reservoirs, and because of that, my dear children, what will happen? The drought season will occur. Okay, a drought season will come to that particular area. Okay, so irregular agriculture is also a reason for a drought. Then the next one, deforestation influences the water cycle directly or indirectly. Convectional rains and rainfall are affected by this. So I told you about the deforestation, that is also a main reason for the drought. Okay, so how does the deforestation helps for a drought? It's like this. So the deforestation influences the water cycle. Plants are helping to maintain the water cycle. So you know that upon transpiration, plants help to keep the water cycle. So this water cycle is getting highly affected due to deforestation. Due to deforestation, this water cycle is getting highly affected. So upon affecting the water cycle, the amount of waterfall or amount of water or the amount of rainfall which is being received by a certain area is going to increase or decrease. Okay. So decreasing amount of rainfall for a particular area because of deforestation can be considered as a drought. So deforestation is going to highly affect on the water cycle. So when the water cycle is getting affected, we know that definitely a drought season will occur because of lack of rainfall, right? Because of lack of rainfall. Then the next one. Global warming also changed the pattern of rainfall. So I told you that global warming, that's a main reason to change the pattern of rainfall. So when we discussing about the El Nino effect, we discussed that the temperature is going to flow through our globe, right? When you take the whole earth, the temperature is going to circulate around our earth. So when the global warming is going to come and effect, so this will change the flow of air currents or flow of the temperature. So the regular flow of temperature, when the regular flow of temperature is going to change, what will happen? It will change the pattern of rainfall upon change in the pattern of wind. So this global warming is giving out a good impact in creating a drought. So gases like carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere due to human activities leads to a global warming. Such gases are known as greenhouse gases. So there are several gases which can increase the atmospheric temperature. Actually, these gases can absorb solar radiation more and more. So upon absorbing solar radiation more and more, what will happen? The surface temperature is going to increase. So this condition is the one which is simply referred as the global warming. So there are several gases which can absorb more heat radiation or more solar radiation. One example is carbon dioxide, and there are several other gases as well, like CFC, chlorofluorocarbon, sulfur dioxide. Even the water vapor is considered as a greenhouse gas. Okay, so these are several examples for greenhouse gases. They can absorb more solar radiation. So upon absorbing more solar radiation, the surface temperature is going to increase. So this is the reason for global warming. So I told you that because of global warming, because of irregular distribution in temperature, right, El Nino effects can happen. So because of this effect, my dear children, I told you that droughts can occur. Okay. Then the next one, wastage of water by irregular and overuse is a reason for drought. So I told you this thing in the earlier case also. Irregular use and wastage of water is also a main reason for the occurrence of a drought. So these are several human reasons or human activities that is going to cause a drought. So as there are, you can see that there are plenty of human activities, but however the natural activities are very less, and you can see that there are some human activities which is going to create that particular natural activity. Now if you take this global warming, now global warming is mainly occurring because of the human activities, no? So the global warming is giving out a huge impact in creating an El Nino effect. Okay. So El Nino effect is a natural one, but however, it is being relying on the global warming process. So when you go for the route of creating a drought, the man is there. Humans are there. Okay. Right then. So how droughts occur Due to human activities and natural activities, causes can be simply shown by the figure. Now, we discussed several activities, several natural activities and several human activities in creating a drought. So, within this figure, we can show, or we can, like by looking at this figure, by giving by referring this figure, you can get a certain idea about creating drought. Now here collectively they have mentioned human activities and the natural causes in creating a drought. Okay, so you know that natural causes are like change of timely monsoon winds because of the change of water currents and dry winds, and like El Nino phenomenon. And like several human activities, irregular and unwanted constructions, irregular water wastage, irregular soil usage, deforestation, and release of greenhouse gases to the environment. So, my dear children, because of these reasons, what will happen? Main reasons, or the main influencers which is going to occur because of having these reasons are: number one, change of rainfall pattern. Because of having these reasons, or upon having these reasons, or because of doing these kinds of activities by human, mainly these two reasons, or mainly these two causes are going to occur. What are these? Change of rainfall pattern, right? Rainfall pattern is going to change because of these human activities and as well as these natural activities. Okay, rainfall pattern is going to affect. So therefore the rainfall pattern is going to change. Then decrease of rainfall, and also the decrease of rainfall is going to occur. So due to change of rainfall and due to decrease of rainfall, you know that the scarcity of water will occur. Lack of water will occur, which resulting a drought. So this is a flow chart to show how the drought is going to occur because of the natural causes and because of the human activities. No matter the natural causes, no matter the human activities, main thing which is going to create a drought is the scarcity of water. Scarcity of water mainly happens because of change in rainfall pattern and due to decrease or lack of rainfall. Okay. So within this flowchart, my dear children, you can observe how the drought is going to occur because of the reasons that we have mentioned above. Right then. Drought basically affects the environment. Based on those environmental issues, various socio-economic issues also arise. So, when you take a drought, my dear children, you know that we face several serve conditions or bad conditions because of having a drought. So, normally you know that drought is going to affect for the soil and the ground. But however, there are other way more different effects or impacts for the other fields also, for the other sectors also. There are different impacts on drought. So the figure shows how this drought is going to influence on various fields. So mainly it is going to influence on the ground and the non-ground water sources. So you know that when you take ground water sources and non-ground water sources, both of these water sources definitely going to dry up because of having a drought. So in that case, what will happen? people will not be able to receive plenty of water or enough water for their day-to-day needs. So in that case, people will definitely going to die. Not only the people but also animals and organisms, like other organisms like plants. They're going to die because of less groundwater and unground water. So the drought is going to highly influence on water surface or water resources, right? On water resources, drought is going to give out a great impact. Okay. Then drought is going to impact on soil. So we discussed that soil is, or the water retention level in the soil is going to decrease. So when the water retention level in the soil is going to decrease, soil is going to dry up. And there are several cracks which are going to occur within the soil, dry cracks. So upon having dry cracks, my dear children, right, soil organisms who are living within the soil will die, and the soil will get infertile, and it will highly affect our agriculture. Okay. And also what will happen? Several other diseases will also spread. Okay. Several diseases will also spread because of this dryness in the soil. Okay. Then it is going to highly impact on the forest also. If you take a forest is mainly made up with plants and trees. So if there is no water within the soil, if there is no water within the surface water or the ground water, right, then the plants will die. Trees will dry up, and they will die, right? So the forests are being destroyed. So upon destroying the forest, biodiversity is getting highly affected. Animals who are surviving or animals who are living in that particular area will also die upon losing their habitats. So for the forests also, these droughts are giving out a good or greater influence or greater impact. Then energy crisis. Now if you take Sri Lanka is mainly dependent on hydropower electricity. Hydropower electricity is generated by water. So in order to generate good amount of hydropower electricity, there should be good amount of water within the reservoirs. So upon having a drought season, water within the reservoirs will going to dry up. Water within the reservoirs will definitely going to dry up. So that will create less amount of energy, or that will create low production of energy. Here energy in the sense electricity. So due to having less amount of electricity, the demand we won't be able to meet the demand. Okay, we won't be able to meet the demand. So therefore blackouts or else energy crisis will occur, right? So droughts are also creating these energy crises as well. Okay, this is only for a, now when you take Sri Lanka, that only for a, this is only for a particular area, only for creating electricity, but there are some other influences for the energy crisis as well. Then health. Drought is creating several health issues. Now you know that when people are going to die because of lack of water, right, when animals are going to die because of lack of water, when the plants are going to die because of lack of water, several diseases are going to spread among the people. Definitely diseases are going to spread among the people. And for the if a certain person is dispirited, okay, if he is, I mean, like when you take a certain person, if he is not receiving enough water, then he will go and find other he go and find contaminated resources of water. Sometimes he will find out contaminated water. So upon using this contaminated water, the person or the people will cause several diseases. So these diseases will spread along our society. Okay, so drought is also giving out health issues for the people, and sometimes skin diseases will also spread, right? Skin diseases will also spread. So there are several observed health conditions which is going to occur because of the drought. Then, my dear children, you know that agriculture is heavily getting dependent on the water. So because of lack of water, agriculture will definitely going to have a high effect or greater effect in because of the drought. Okay, agriculture will definitely get wasted if they don't receive enough water. Okay, so we won't be able to receive the necessary amount of harvest. In that case, scarcity of food will also occur, right? So these are the several areas or several influencers of the drought. So as you can see, drought is not only creating reduction in water, but also it's going to affect in each of these fields like the soil, forest, energy, health and agriculture. All of these areas are getting affected by the drought. Okay, right then. So these are the influencers, socio-economic influencers and other influencers caused by the drought. Okay, right, my dear children. So we discussed several things related to the droughts, and we discussed how a drought is going to occur. We discussed several natural reasons and human activities of drought. So within our next chapter, we'll be studying how to face and how to manage this drought, right? How we can manage the drought or the drought disaster well, right? So what are the things that we can follow to avoid the bad effects of this disaster? So we'll be discussing those things in our next chapter.
To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.